Hi, folks. Welcome to The Creative Nomad, presented by TrueAwesomeLife.com. I'm your host, JP Adkins, and I created this podcast because I want to tell the stories of the radicals, the ones who are out there making the world a better, more beautiful place. The amazing authors, artists, musicians, thought leaders, coaches, and yes, nomads who are out there living their true awesome lives and want to help others do the same. Are you ready to live your true awesome life? Go to TrueAwesomeLife.com and start your journey today. And hi, folks. Welcome to the Creative Nomad Show. Today, I'm with Natalie, and she is absolutely amazing. And she just told me how to say her last name, and it went boop, right on my head as I went to say it.
It's
Mgonja.
Mgonja. Yes, there you go.
Awesome. And she is really amazing. She is from Tanzania originally, and then she moved to California and was living here for a while in California, and now she's back in Tanzania and travels the world. She is so much fun. And so, where are you at now, Tally? Where in the world are you?
So I am in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is the exact city I was born in and raised in. And then when I was about 7 years old, that's when my mom, my sister, my mom and I, we moved to Long Beach. And then we were there for 18 years. And I just recently relocated back here in 2017. So it's been 2 years that I've been back.
Wow. And so what made you go back to Tanzania? What was the draw?
So I had always kind of said this, not always. I mean, I got to a certain age where I understood that I felt like I had a purpose here. I felt like I had more that I can offer by coming back because I had the exposure that not everybody does have the opportunity to kind of get access to. And because Tanzania is still a third world developing country. So when you see that opportunity for you to be able to come and make some sort of difference or change, I was drawn to that. And I felt more like that was my purpose. So I had already said, as soon as I finish my bachelor's, I'm going to come back. And I actually ended up coming back before I even finished it, just based on like some familial kind of like emergencies that required someone here. And so I came back, and I mean, I love it here. It's very different. It's very different from the Western world or America. But you really got to have tough skin to survive and to adapt. And I think that's what I love about being back, is being able to kind of like test my limits and challenge myself as a person and see what I actually am capable of doing. Because, staying in that whole saying of like staying in your comfort zone doesn't really get you very far. Yeah. So I like it. I'm not comfortable. I'm not 100% comfortable. I have a lot of like fears here and there just dealing with certain things, but it's been nice. I'm already kind of doing things that I can see that can definitely implement some change, the whole purpose of me wanting to be here. And yeah, so yeah, the reason that I was drawn to come back, I mean, it was home, and then also I had already promised myself that I would come back once I had a degree.
Yeah. So what have you been finding that is like, talk about how different it is there compared to the US or other Western locations?
Yeah. So I'm going to speak for Dar es Salaam because other parts of Africa are a little bit different. But here, like, it's actually called, it's like a coastal type of vibe. And anywhere you go that's very coastal, everybody's very laid back and like super chill. They don't really work in a fast environment. They don't believe in like time being money. They value rather like relationships and time spent with each other rather than how quickly can you get this done. And that was one thing that I always struggled with, like you'd be working with someone and you're like, look, at the deadline is Tuesday, 2 p.m. And then all of a sudden they respond to you on Thursday and they're like, sorry, we need another week. And I'm just like, what? This shouldn't take this much time. And if we were anywhere else where people do value time, this wouldn't happen. But you can tell that the values are very different. The priorities are very different. Even like customer service is like very, very slow. So you can have a seat at a restaurant and then it might take a little while for them to get to you. Whereas like if I was in California and I like went to sit down in a restaurant, the minute you sit down, someone's at your table. And it's not that they don't respect the customer or whatever it is. It's just that there's no rush. Nobody ever is in a rush, and they don't see the point in being in a rush just because you're so peaceful and laid back about it.
Nice.
So when you first come down, you're like panicking because you're so used to everything being like super quick. Like we don't have time to, yeah. So that's like one thing that definitely stood out to me. Also, I think because it's so small here, and I mean, this doesn't have really much to do with whether it's like Tanzania, East Africa, or if it's somewhere in, America that has a small town, but everyone is just so involved in each other's lives. So I'm not, it just seems as though there is no privacy. Everyone's very, very involved, and everybody feels entitled to also comment on like, well, what are you doing? Or you shouldn't have been doing this. And which for me, I'm like, wait, what? I'm a complete individual. What does my life have to do with yours? But that's just how the culture is, and it's completely widely acceptable for like someone to walk up to you and tell you that you're doing that wrong, and you have to say thank you, okay. And so yeah, there's a lot of just different things. A lot of them are based on like social factors as well, but yeah.
One of my favorite stories that I ever heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it kind of speaks to what you were talking about the community being very involved. And there was some missionaries or some Westerners of some sort were in an African town, in an African village, and the kids were all playing, and they were trying to do races, and whoever won the race got candy or something, shoes, whatever that was. I think it was candy. Food comes to mind, some kind of food. And they were doing the race, and the kid won, and then he got the candy, and then he passed it out to all his friends, all the other race people in the village. And the people asked, well, why did you do that? And he goes, well, Ubuntu, I am because they are. And it's one of the things that I've actually lived my life. I realized that is one of the things everything is connected and everyone is connected. So, and I only am because of you. I think we don't value that in Western society as much as I have heard, and I don't know, but I've heard that other cultures really do. Do you find that to be true?
I think that's definitely something that I would say is true. And I mean, yeah, I think it is true. And like, there's also a sense of just trying to make sure that everybody's just abiding by the same rules and culture, because we all represent each other as like a people, I guess you could say. Because you'll notice that if you can tell from the eyes that this person's a foreigner, you may assume they are, depending on if they're not Black or something like that.
Yeah.
They usually don't get as much ridicule. No one really is imposing on them, but that's because they feel like they're disconnected from each other, you know what I mean? And so they don't have to really worry about these things or worry about trying to tell them what's wrong or right and this or that. You can tell the thing that I always found interesting is you can tell when it's genuine care and it's just like the community factor. And then there's also like the way that people can do things. And so for me, that was always where like I got confused because I couldn't figure out where to draw the line. But at the same time, as much as it was kind of foreign to me, there are so many parts of the fact that we're so communal that I love. You can literally like that thing of like, if you run out of sugar, you can just go next door and ask your neighbor for sugar. I mean, but like here, you can literally ask them for like a place to sleep and everything. Maybe never met before, and they'll take Or you can be like, look, I need to, like, I've seen people do this a lot where they like go to the store, but it's because it's their neighborhood store. They're like, I'll just pay you back tomorrow. And they're like, all right, cool, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, you need sugar, you need whatever it is that you need to give your family food, put some food on the table for the night, that's fine. Where I feel like that wouldn't really happen in America. It's like, you got to pay for it. And so there's those things, those factors where I'd be like, I really appreciated it, because it's like, at least we trust each other and we're so much more focused on helping each other rather than just trying to be like power hungry or, capitalism, how that goes. But yeah. So I think that's one of my favorite parts about this place as well, is just like the community. Until I'm like, okay, now you're too much in my business. Calm down.
Now,
But
the date I went on last night is off limits. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
I'll never forget. My brother, my older brother was also gay. I'm gay, and my older brother was also gay. And one night I'm at the bar, and I went over to a friend's house. It wasn't even a hookup or anything like that. But I left the bar. I went really early, and because my friend was working, and I stopped in, and me and another friend were kind of talking, and I ended up going over there and like watching a movie or doing something stupid. Like it was not anything crazy, right? And
yeah.
then I went back to the bar because that's where all my friends were, right? And now it's more like it's 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in that range, and we're and we have some fun. And then I had a friend that came over to my place, and we all went and watched a movie. This was common in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my brother calls me the next day and says, "Oh my God, you went home with two different guys last night?" Blah 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 blah. Now my brother wasn't there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Two different guys and blah 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 blah. And this whole conversation was like absolutely crazy. It took me 5 years to figure out who told them.
Yeah. That's the stuff that always blows my mind. Well, did you ask him and he didn't tell you?
Yeah, he
or
wouldn't
you
tell
just
me.
didn't ask?
Yeah, he
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
tell me. He's like, I have people everywhere.
Yeah. Who did it end up being? Was it someone like close to you?
It was a friend. Yeah, it was a friend of ours. As a matter of fact, the only time I've literally been camping, right,
Mm-hmm.
to this date is this friend of mine.
Yeah.
And we went to a campground last year, and I'm moving into CRV in 5 days. So kind of funny story.
Yeah.
I've known him since I was 18. It's somebody that I knew was there. It just didn't click that
Yeah.
he would be talking to my
That would be the
brother.
person.
So, he would
Got
call
it.
my brother that day, like the next day. Oh, I saw him out, and it's rare that I saw at this point. It was rare that I would see him out. So
Yeah.
it makes sense now looking back.
Mm-hmm.
But at the
That
time,
was
it
the
was
person.
like, what the hell? Um,
Yeah.
so, where I saw that you actually lived in France or
I lived in Italy.
Italy. That's where it was.
Mm-hmm. I
How
was in, yeah.
so? How was
Were
that?
you gonna ask a question? Okay, how was that? Okay. That was a very, I wish I stayed longer, although I did get homesick much earlier than I had expected. I was there for about 6 months for a study abroad.
Okay.
And it's so funny because I don't think it was coincidence. I wasn't actually supposed to end up in Italy. I was supposed to go to Spain, and some things came up where I couldn't go to Spain, and I didn't speak intermediate Spanish, so they couldn't have me at like beginner level and so forth. And I'm so thankful that that happened because I think I mean, no disrespect to Spain, I just ended up having such a great time in Italy.
Yeah.
And I met some lifelong friends there, and we're still very close friends to this date. I experienced my first pickpocketing in my life, and I am now I don't know if hypochondriac is the right word, but like literally, like if my phone is in a bag or a pocket, I'm just always like, where is it? Because they were so smooth. And I remember reading about like, be careful in Europe because of this. And I was like, cool, I got this. But one night I had it in my back pocket, a little bit drunk, tipsy, let's say. And, these guys come up and they're just like waving their hands, doing something with them. And then at some point, I felt like something like swipe my butt, like something like just like swipe my ass. And I was like, what was that? And then I just kept talking to my friends and I was like, that was weird. And so it's time to go home. And I'm like, well, let me look for my phone and text my boyfriend and let him know I'm going home. And I'm like, wait, where is it? I can't find it. I check my bag. We check every bar we've been in, which there was only 2 bars that we were in.
Yeah.
And then we checked like all the restrooms and everything. And it only hit me when I got home that shit, that time when you felt like there was a really awkward situation. Sometimes you feel things instinctively, but you're just like, ugh, And I could feel, I was like, why are these people doing this? And they were like, oh, they're just drunk, just ignore it. And I was like, no, I feel like there's something behind what they're doing here. And because they're speaking in Italian, we're just not paying much mind to it. So anyway, that happened. And that was like, I think like my first week there. So I thought it was going to be the worst trip ever. And it wasn't. It actually ended up being great. I did a lot of travels. I was so focused on traveling and just trying to get to know as many different cultures while I was there that I missed a lot of my courses, but somehow I still came out with above average grades. But yeah, Italy is a very interesting place. I did experience a bit of racism in the north. It wasn't too blatant, but you can tell that they were very shocked to see someone of my skin color in Venice as frequently as they did. I know they see like visitors and tourists and whatnot, but it's not like on a daily basis do you see like this little black girl going on to get on a boat, on a vaporetto to go to school every day. But yeah, so that was interesting to experience. But everything else was really amazing. It was really beautiful. It was very eye-opening. I learned a lot about myself. That was actually the first trip where I learned a lot about myself and my survival skills and how terrible they were. But I learned a lot. I learned a lot then. So I can't say the same for myself now. That was 2015. So that took about 4 years ago. Yeah. I'm a different person now.
I definitely understand being a different person.
Yeah.
This whole RV thing was about 5 years ago. This came to me, and I thought it was crazy. A friend of mine said I was in the middle. I just broke up with my partner of 7 years. I just moved. My mother just moved in with me. She's been sick for a long time. All this like change is happening. My company failed, collapsed, and the spiritual center that I was part of collapsed. Like all within like 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
Like it was like my whole life like was rewritten, clean slates all the way through.
Yeah.
And the spiritual leader that I was working with, he said to me, have you asked and then gone to meditation to listen? Have you asked the questions to the universe or whatever, source, universe, God, however you want to claim that which you can't understand?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that never occurred to me. So I did, and I swear to you, as plain as you and I are speaking, it was, I heard get an RV and go. And at that time, I was a city boy. Like I was still going to the clubs. I'm still like I had just moved from this really great little small town, artsy place with the festivals and like every weekend, all summer long, spring, summer, and fall. Actually, there's something going on. There's a festival of some sort. It's a joke that 9 Mile should not be a throughway through there because it's literally always closed. And one of the major roads, and so it was crazy, and it's taken me 5 years to like go, all right, I'm moving in and I'm going.
Like totally you finally decided to take note of the sign. You must have always had it in the back of your head. You were just like, I'm not listening to this thing.
There really was. And it's like, and I think it's a lot like you when you were saying that you were going to go after you get your bachelor's, you were going back to Tanzania. There was just this calling to you that it's like, oh, it's there. And did you ever, throughout the time, did you ever go, well, that's stupid, that's crazy, what does that look like,
I did. And I mean, and so let me tell you another part about my personality is like, if you tell me that my idea is stupid, that makes me want to do it even more. So I had already started doubting myself, and I was like, well, why would I take myself from a situation like this where, like everything, the political climate, I mean, it's not the best, but you know what I mean? Like you still have, like, you're still covered, you have your protection, you don't have to struggle with like small, minuscule issues. It's like access to things. I mean, because like we lack access to a lot of things. So for instance, like when I go to Long Beach and I visit again, or like when people are visiting me, I usually send them like a whole suitcase because there's so much we can't find here. And I'm so used to like my certain lifestyle. And so it's like, why would I take myself from that situation and put myself in a more difficult situation? And people here, because I used to visit a lot as well. people here would literally be like, Natalie, don't come back. It's hard living here. You're not going to survive. And I was like, you know what? I will take you up for that challenge. I'm going to do it just because you said I can't. Yeah. And I'm really glad I did, because I also at some point thought I couldn't. I was literally, I think it was just like a year ago, I was like, dude, I give up. I'm leaving. And then I decided to just focus a little bit more on stuff that make me happy. And then once I started doing that, I kind of forgot about all of the extra stuff that comes along with the stress of living here. Because I had something to look forward to, right? Which is when I started like event planning, and I started actually going to acting auditions and whatnot. And that was like, okay, I feel like I'm actually like fulfilling my purpose, or the parts of me that I need to fulfill before I can, fulfill my bigger purpose here. So I definitely got a lot of backlash. My mom still makes fun of me just about every day for being here. And 'cause she's in the States, so she's like, so how's it going in your home country? I'm sure you're struggling. I'm like, I'm fine, thank you.
Right.
I'm not. Just because you're not spiritually strong like I am. I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, I mean, seriously, like, if you can just meditate through shit, then how hard is, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, that's the answer to everything, but I seriously just like internally look for your happiness. You'll be fine. You can figure it out wherever you are. Not everybody's like that, so I get it. I understand.
Yeah. So you hit on a couple things that are themes in my whole practice and my whole life, and that is first, meditation. When did you start meditating?
I would say about very recent, like this year.
Okay.
April.
Awesome. So what made you start?
What
made you start?
Yeah, so I've always had a sister, my sister has always very much been into just kind of like understanding ourselves more in like the spiritual sense, rather than just like attaching ourselves to some sort of like religion or some figure in the sky or whatever you want to refer to it as. But she always has, and she's always just kind of like sent me literature, videos, or things to watch just to make me start asking the questions that I need to ask. And then one of my best friends as well has been on this path for a really long time, and she's also been sending me stuff. And I think one day I was just kind of like, I'm not looking for purpose in life or like the meaning of life, but I'm just trying to understand myself a little bit better, because I've been working on this like self-awareness thing for about 3 years now, being a little bit more self-aware and like understanding myself from the inside out, so that nobody on the outside can kind of like affect how I feel about myself. And so as I started actually like going into this stuff and like digging into it, I just found it so interesting that we've been saying this to ourselves, that we can find peace within, but we're not even trying to practice the ways to find the peace within, right? You're just like, oh, maybe it'll just come to me, or like, maybe I'll get to this point in my life and then I'll be happy and then I'll have peace within. And I was like, that's just not how it works. Because sometimes that kind of peace and happiness comes and goes. It's not consistent. So what are you going to do to take charge of the fact that you want consistent happiness? And if you're telling me that it's within me, and I've seen other people who are examples of it actually being true, then why do I need to keep making excuses as to why I shouldn't try this? So I did, and my friend kind of gave me like her easy ways for like how she started. That makes it a little bit easier. I always just used to believe that you have to be like out in nature, sitting on top of some tree, and like do like your thing and listen to the sound. No, she was like, dude, do it in your bed. Before you go to bed, just close your eyes, lay on your back, and then just try and refocus your mind on just this one thing. Yeah. And I did the first time, and I remember like I fell asleep and I woke up the next day and I was like, whoa. I just from that one experience, I could feel that I felt different. And then, she just started guiding me through little things, just kind of like manifesting the things you want, or like talking to your spirit guides and things of that nature. And, I'm still working on it. I don't think I'm going to perfect any of it. I skip a lot of meditation days as well. And before I used to be really angry with myself, and I was like, nah, you're supposed to be on this. But no. Everybody works at their own pace, and I'm okay with the way that I'm going with this. I'm still learning a lot. So if you have any information or any tips or guides, let me know.
Yeah, actually I do live meditation every Monday. Okay. I have a YouTube group or Facebook group where I do a
Okay.
live meditation every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Now Live.
Mm-hmm.
You can check that out. And yeah, I've been teaching meditation for about 5 years, 6 years, 6 years now. And
Mm-hmm.
I started because Deepak Chopra,
Mm-hmm.
before he was doing the Oprah thing, they did a challenge, a 30-day challenge. I'm like, I've always wanted to meditate. I should do this, right? Because of that meditation, I quit smoking. I literally changed so much about my life, and I can take it all the way back to that one meditation challenge.
Yeah. And it was 30 days, you said?
Yep, 30 days. Now it's Deepak and Oprah. I don't like it very as much.
Yeah.
The format's the same, everything's the same, and I think that it's because I saw a different version, and if I didn't see that version, I'd be okay.
Yeah.
But Deepak Chopra runs a whole center, and he
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
all kinds of different people. Like
Mm-hmm.
every day would be someone kind of different from the center doing the guided portion of it, and it was lovely. Like, and he's the least of the people I actually like out of
Mm-hmm.
all the people that he had there. So now that it's just him and Oprah, Oprah's okay. I don't like Deepak's voice.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah,
As
great
you're
words.
listening to it, it just, and actually, that's another thing that I noticed is sometimes when you're listening to, like, if you're watching a video or if it's like an app or something, if the person's voice doesn't resonate with you, you're just kind of like, I
Yeah,
can't take this
I,
seriously right
I can't.
now. Yeah, I thought I just had some issues.
No, no. There's really people that Deepak is one of them, and Eckhart Tolle. Oh my God, I can't watch an interview from his
With who?
Eckhart Tolle.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
The Power of Now.
Oh, got it.
Okay, so
I know the book. Yeah,
amazing book,
yeah,
amazing words, a
yeah.
friggin' like
And then
a
you can
genius
sound.
when it comes to it. As long as I don't have to see him or hear him, I'm okay.
I'm gonna have to try and listen to this too and see how I feel about it. Yeah, I completely get that though.
You
I
know,
can understand that aspect of it. Even just, yeah, I struggle with that, especially with like YouTube when I'm watching it on YouTube,
hmm
and then I end up just opening my eyes and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this.
yeah, and sometimes I just can't do it with that person at that time.
Yeah,
So
maybe at
it's
another time.
yeah, and there's a Stevenson is his last name. I can't think of his first name. He has a whole channel and he does a lot of guided meditations, and they're lovely, lovely meditations. And sometimes I just can't do it. Like, no,
Yeah,
that your
yeah.
voice is like an anvil in my head at this moment, and I can't deal with you.
That's funny.
Um,
That's
so
fair.
what has been the biggest thing that you've gotten from doing your meditation practice?
I think for me, this is gonna maybe might sound silly, but I've always struggled a little bit with discipline because I'm such a yes man. So I struggle with kind of like just setting these guidelines and boundaries of when I'm going to do these and how long am I going to do it for, and what am I looking to achieve, or like what parts of me am I trying to uncover. And this is probably why I was so hard on myself in the beginning, is like, and then when I kind of in the beginning, I was really following a strict pattern. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't smoking. And then it's just like, all it takes is just like that one thing to just mess with your pattern. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're just like back to, yeah. So, I mean, when I did have that period, I felt like, and you really do feel how different your mindset is, how your
hmm
body physically feels every day. I was back in the gym every single day. I think I only would give myself like a day off, if that. And that's literally the type of life that I want to live long
Yeah.
term, not like when people are just going on those like crash diets or something. Like, no, I want to literally take care of myself physically, mentally, and everything else. And that was something that I was really proud of, that I achieved through that. And I can tell that it was a product of me actually meditating, not just, like you said, like you did that 30-day challenge and you really made huge differences or huge decisions that would make your life different.
Yeah.
And you knew it was because of that. So I think I just also have given myself a bit of an understanding or a bit of a preview into what my life could be like if I continue down this path. Yeah. And I'm excited about that, actually. I just need to stick to it. And then again, I also don't want to be a little too hard on myself, because we are humans. We're never going to perfect anything or be too perfect. So that was something that I think also that I learned through meditation is like, you don't need to beat yourself up for this. Just start again tomorrow and keep starting over until you get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And there's nothing. So it's one of the funny things about Buddhism, is that if you actually talk to a Zen Buddhist, I want to say it's Zen, and it might be a Taoist, but in Eastern, there's a very famous saying, and I can't remember which one. They're so similar that it doesn't matter, right? But the saying is, there's nothing to know. There's nothing to get. I don't have any answers for you. A Zen master will tell you, I have nothing for you. I am here to give you nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and when you can get to nothing, it's such an amazing space to be in. So because you can create anything
that you want.
Yeah.
And that's probably so scary for people to hear. Like, I have nothing for you. Like, what?
Yeah.
My whole life is created about needing something. So yeah.
One of the things I invite you to check out, and I know that they do have one in Africa. I don't know where. I can't. But Landmark Worldwide is. You can check them out at landmarkworldwide.com.
Okay.
They are worth, like, if you're coming up here to California, if there's not one local, next time you're in town, it's worth to plan a trip around that. One of the things that they talk about is the life is empty and meaningless. And it's really crazy when you think about it that way, because you can create all the meaning you want to create meaning. You know, we have this whole astrology going on. We have constellations that they're just stars in the sky. They're just patterns. You know, that we have created this whole like thing around. And there's so many different, you do it every day. You've ever looked at a spot or a cloud and said, oh, that looks like a face, or, you know,
it looks like a pig. It's a flying pig. Yeah.
It's a flying pig. It's, you know, Jesus in my toast.
Yeah.
Like, whatever,
yeah.
whatever that is. And so when you can get to empty and meaningless and really be able to create from that space, it will change your life. And they say one of their major sayings is, anything that you want for your life is available out of doing the Landmark Forum. And it's true. Because you really can create anything from that space.
That's true.
And literally, this all is from my whole job now is because of people I met in the Landmark Forum, which is
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to. You go to dinner every night with they tell you to go to dinner with random people, right? And
people from the forum?
Yeah, from the forum.
Okay.
And so you go to dinner, and every time I went to a meal with somebody, they were millionaires.
Seriously?
So, yep, every single time. And it was kind of funny.
Is that everyone there, or was it just you
just the group that I ended up with were millionaires? You know, like one was a construction. He was big in construction. I had someone that was a big franchisee with a local restaurant. And Chad at the time was doing sales and marketing and was doing really well. So fast forward, we forget all about this, right? And who we met. And what came from that was that I was always with millionaires, right? And so I did another program with them, and it was freaking amazing. But what ended up happening is I met Chad. We were in the same program, and this one's a little more intense. It's 6 months. It's really cool. Best program in the world for coaching for people that are looking to make a difference in the world. They have the Introduction Leaders program is like, you are not the same person. If you go through it, you can't be the same person, because the person that you are can't get through that.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing program. And so we met there and became friends, and we had very similar things that we were doing, and so we kind of started working together a little bit, and I started doing some work with him, and then he met his wife, his now wife, and they started a company together, and I was doing some behind the scenes work with them, and all this stuff. Like, he asked me how to ask her to marry him. So
Wow.
it's funny. I always talk about, I've been with Chad and Holly since before they were Chad and Holly.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff was happening, and all this stuff, great stuff. And then finally now it's like we realized that my genius zone is really work with people and really helping them transform their lives through systems and being on accountability and things like that. That's what I do in the company, and little pep talks. So that's kind of my role now, and it's so freaking amazing. And we work with coaches, and yeah, Quantum Impact Coaching. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been talking a lot.
You're fine.
This is your interview.
Is it?
It is. I love these conversations though, because you never know where they're going.
That's true.
And I think that it's interesting talking to someone who is at the beginning of their spiritual journey in some ways. Well, you're not, but you are just realizing that you're in that spiritual journey. So.
Yeah, but it still feels very beginner, new to me anyways. So yeah.
So what has been your biggest challenge in that?
I would say actually probably, especially living here, being around family and friends who are very religious based. This is in Tanzania. It's half and half. It's half Muslim and half Christian, and there's no in between of like spirituality or meditation or we pray. That's our form of meditation, which I always try to explain to people as well. I'm like, you can have your religion if that's what you believe in, and that's okay. And when you pray and you see me meditating, or you see me kind of like, writing in my journal, it's like all the things that I want to manifest. To you, you pray to a God that you believe is going to answer these things for you. And for me, I look internally to look for those answers, or to get those things that I really want in my life, or to manifest them. I kind of don't really go and talk to somebody else and close my eyes. But it's the same thing. You're also kind of meditating in a sense, right? And so so the thing is just the pushback that you get from people that are like, you're just wasting your time. I mean, there's only just one thing. There's only one God. There's no, or even sometimes when I make a comment like, well, clearly the universe wasn't on my side. And they're like, what do you mean the universe? There's just God. And I'm like, I really would love to live in a society or in an era, which I do believe it's there, but just here we're a little bit behind. So, where people can just believe what they want to believe, and everyone's just going to live in peace with that. You know what I mean? So there has been, and luckily I have my sister and my friend, but they're both in the States, but I have those people that I can reach out to and talk to about it. But for instance, like if you have like a family member come over, or say like, hey, how come I didn't see you at church today? And you say, well, I don't believe in God. Good luck. Like they're gonna have like a whole intervention and sit you down and start praying for you. And I mean, that's culture. I understand that. So it's a lot of biting your tongue and then having to not be your authentic selves in certain situations, which I think is really exhausting for me.
Yeah.
Because I've done that so much in my past in my life where I wasn't my authentic self, and now I just want to be me all the time with like unapologetically. But you have to be careful because I don't know, I guess family's family. You have to be respectful and you have to kind of have boundaries of the things that you blurt out. That's been my struggle, having to fake it, having to fake how I feel about things. So yeah.
I invite you. So one of the things I invite you to consider, right, is a quote from Joseph Campbell,
Okay.
and it goes something like, God is a name that people use for that which is unexplainable.
Yes. When looking for the unanswered questions, that's what they
Yes.
use. Yep.
So if they're calling it God and you're calling universe, it is the one force.
It's the one force, exactly. But
So
they don't see it that way because there is only one word to that force that can be used. But yeah, literally all of this is just humans need answers to the unanswerable, and so that's why we have a God and an Allah and then the universe or whatever it is. Because
whatever word.
They cannot survive without not with not knowing. It's just so difficult for humans to just be like, okay, well, maybe there is nothing out there. Maybe we don't know what it is, where our minds aren't developed enough to actually understand the complexities of the universe we live in.
The unknown and unknowable is
Yep.
what I like to call it. The unknown and unknowable. And I've been actually being ordained in Judaism. So what's great is in my practice of it, it's very Taoist in nature. However you look at it, it's very Taoist in nature. So it's kind of interesting because the first thing they say in the Tao is anything that you call the Tao cannot be the Tao. That which can be named can't be the Tao.
Yeah, okay.
So,
okay, so yeah.
So what's great is, and even in Christianity, in Judaism, in Christianity, they talk about God saying, well, Moses saying, what should I call you? And in the burning bush, and he says, I am that I am. And anything that you put in front of I am is a limitation.
Yeah.
So when you start thinking of the universe, the God, that which is unknown and unknowable, that just being I am.
Yeah.
I am that I am. So, and that is part of you, and that's part of the people around you. It's part of the trees and the grass and the
Everything that
everything.
surrounds you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, what is the one thing that you want to get out to people? What is the one message that you would like to leave people with today?
The one message that I would love to leave people with today is don't put yourself in a box ever in all aspects of that notion or whatever you want to call it. Don't limit yourself, because when you start to limit yourself, that's how you allow yourself to have regrets of things that you didn't get to try or didn't get to do or didn't get to experience just based on societal norms. And also that thing of like living in fear or being afraid to try things that you really, really want to try because maybe someone told you of all the risks that can happen or the things that could go wrong or all the risks that come along with these things. I just feel like everything plays out how it's meant to play out. So if something does go wrong in the process, it was meant to do that. It was meant, there's a reason it's happening. It's not like, oh, well, if I avoided this and it wouldn't have, no, like literally like you made a left turn down this road and you were supposed to go right. And you're like, oh, well, no, you were meant to make that accidental left turn. And then you never know why, but there's always a reason behind everything. And I think sometimes we need to stop looking for the reasons behind everything as well. They'll come to you eventually. But I just don't want anybody to feel like they have to limit themselves or they have to reduce how passionate they are about things or how many things they're passionate about, just because we're told that we should just have this one thing that we focus on and the one thing that we stick on, and that's what we're going to do with the rest of our lives. I think everybody has multiple purposes here. And by multiple, I mean it could be 3 and it could be 500. I don't know. But there is a purpose, and everything has a contribution to your life in one way or another, even if you don't see it at face value. You'll know, I've noticed a lot of things way down the line that I didn't notice when it was happening to me when I was like 15, 16, but it shaped the person that I am today and has actually contributed to all of the things that I now am passionate about. So I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, if I would leave the people listening with anything today, I would just say that don't put yourself in a box, don't limit yourself. If you want to be an engineer and you want to also be a nurse and you also want to be a graffiti artist, you can do all of that. Don't limit yourself and be as creative as possible. I live in a place where creativity isn't really valued as much, and I see people kind of finding excuses not to be creative. So I really, really want to encourage people to be as creative as possible and discover different parts of themselves within that make them creative and who they are and build them as a character. So yeah, I feel like I rambled a little bit with that, but everything just kept coming to me as I was saying it. So I hope it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. I so enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you. I did too, Jeff.
And I just really wanted to let you know how honored I am to be in your presence of someone that is just a light in this universe.
I appreciate that so much.
So,
and same as you as well. You were really amazing. And I'm thankful to Vision for letting me know. Didn't even know what I was getting myself into, but I'm really thankful for this conversation. It's been great. I've gotten a lot of insight from you, and yeah, I definitely think we're probably be checking in on you quite often too.
yeah,
So.
I have
like,
a feeling we're gonna be.
Tip you said again. I need more help. Please help me. No, thank you for your insight. It was amazing.
And thank you. I just love hearing from you, and you're so brave. And people you probably hear that a lot, but you're not brave because you're there. You're brave because you're living the life that you choose.
Never heard it that way.
You know,
I've never heard it that way. I agree with that too. Right? Because I could have done anything else, but I guess my stubbornness does help. I thought it was a bad trait, but it's a good thing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, not all the time.
There's always both. So don't, but I want to honor who you are and keep going out there and going after your dreams and helping everyone else go after their dreams. I think you're just amazing.
Thank you. So are you.
Everything to get a hold of you will be in the show notes, and I will talk to you very soon.
All right. Sounds good. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Bye, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.